All right. So this one, the homework from last week was updating your online profiles. This is where we see a lot of missed opportunities because there are a lot of secret agents. Especially, I noticed this a lot as an admin of the three power groups, the creative group, the tech and tools, and the referral network. I mean, especially the creative group where we get about 100 requests every single day. Either they don't answer questions or there's nothing about Remix in their profile. They don't have anything that they're an agent. So they just sit there and then we'll get all these private messages, hey, we've been sitting here for 3 days. No one's approving us. And it's like, well, if you were not a secret agent or you answered the questions, you pretty much get right in. But it blows my mind how many people do not have that they're an agent or associating themselves with Remix inside of their profile for social. Because for me, yes, you have business pages, but that personal profile is really where all of those, the sphere, your clients, that's where those referrals are going to come into. So you want to make sure your website, you have everything in there so that people can easily find you. So that's where I always try to make sure at least once a year you go in and you update your online profiles, and using that brandyourself.com, it kind of grades you and allows you to see all the different places you are. And you are in places you probably didn't realize, whether it be you started, an online profile at somewhere and you haven't changed your photo in 15 years, or a lot of people write in their bios, like I've been in real estate for 5 years. Well, when you do that, you have to remember to kind of go in there and change it often.
Yearly, yeah.
So I'm like, no, just say like 20 plus years, 25 plus years, 10, almost 10 years. I mean, something that's going to be where you don't have to edit that part every single year. So
I
that's
tell
just,
people to do it since 1992 or whatever, like the year you began, and then you never have to update it.
exactly right. And it's just, I mean, I get it when you're brand new, but maybe
Right.
you don't put that part. You can say how long you've lived in the area, or there's definitely ways to get around that. But when you're writing your bio, you know, think about that as you're writing it. So it's not something that's going to be, in 10 years, you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this profile. It's so outdated. So just try to think about that as you're writing those bios. So that's the online, or that was the homework from last week. This
I
week
did
is
do that. I did do that.
well, good. And if you haven't, you can always go in and do that. It's just something you want to always keep updated, and Google yourself, and it's quite incredible how many places you show up. So this last week is basically putting everything we've kind of done and thought about for the first 3 sessions, and now we're going to build a roadmap. So the first part of this, and this will kind of be engaging, is what 10 things will you do consistently in 2021? I like the whole pillar, like a top agent is going to have 7 to 10 pillars to their business that they're doing consistently. So I put in some ideas, probably the most popular things. Everybody does things differently. If we all did the exact same thing to get our business, that would be, very competitive and everything else. But we all have our strengths. So it's a matter of finding something that you're comfortable with doing, something you're comfortable starting and growing as you do these. So like lead generation, some people, like to do the pay-per-click or the Facebook ad. So that's just one pillar to your business. Yes, I want to add that in. Maybe it's community events. This year, I know for me, community events has always been a really big thing. Of course, this year, there's not much you can do for, it's not like everybody's out doing these different things. But hopefully in 2021, that will change and we can do more community events. That would be kind of like sponsoring different things. Find something that you're passionate about, and that's kind of getting involved with that, whether it be a charity or whatnot. Strategic alliances, that could be with your preferred partners, or maybe, attorneys, just different partners that you will get referrals from. And in return, maybe, you help co-brand marketing or add them to your website. There's a lot of different things, but finding those, those nice business partnerships is always a good way to kind of add that to your business. Advertising, of course, is very broad. It could be, the fish wrapper. It could be so many different things, billboards, buses, whatnot. Door knocking, not my favorite thing, but I know many agents that have zero problems door knocking. That horrifies me. But if we all did the exact same thing, that would be, not good for all of us. FSBO, I know a lot of agents that have success with FSBOs, whether they're, they see a sign in somebody's yard and they go knock on the door. I think that FSBOs are going to get bigger. I'm surprised they're not right now because the market is so crazy. The days on the market are crazy. And I think the more agents post that we sold something in 2 days, people are going to be, well, what are you doing? I can do this on my own. So I feel typically once the market gets crazy like this, FSBOs start to get more. And I'm actually surprised there's not as many FSBOs right now with the market being so crazy. But I do think if the market continues like this, FSBOs will be on the rise. And it's just a matter of knowing what your value proposition is as a realtor and how you protect, those sellers and stuff like that. Expireds. I know a lot of agents use the Red X and all of those different things for expireds. Open houses, those, a lot of agents love those. I would just get heartburn because I would always have food and I would eat it all. But open houses are very successful, those trying to get the buyers or the neighborhoods, especially in the areas you farm. Social media, I think that's definitely one of them that I use and it's not your only means. There's no magic pill with all of these. It's something about being consistent with all this, but social media, different groups, being present, creating those relationships. It's not starting a profile and forgetting about it. It's really engaging and creating those relationships. Geo farming, postcards, the note cards. I know we kind of talked about that earlier in our sessions. I mean, it's always nice. I would be consistent, sending 5 note cards every single week, having your CRM so that you can write notes in there. You could use Boosh for that. You could use Excel for that. Just knowing kind of like your A, B, C list and making sure that you're touching people. I use social to work for me on what kind of note card to send because people do post about their lives and you have graduations, new babies. I mean, there's so many different things that you can send note cards for. Clubs and committees. When my kids were smaller, of course, that would be cheer, baseball, football. Being involved with that, I still get referrals from all of my old cheer moms, and my daughter hasn't been in cheer for, about 7 years or so, but I still get referrals. I've never said I sell real estate, but I'm happy to refer them to an agent. But getting involved with different clubs and committees, it's great when your kids are little because you can get involved that way. But just think of something that you're passionate about in different clubs or meetups or anything like that, where people know that you're an agent. Of course, I never sold, said I sold anything, but just wearing all my swag, people associated me with the balloon and I would get the referrals for that. So think of clubs and committees, and it's great when you have something that you're interested in because then you find kind of like you're a little tribe of people and they're probably going to be more fun to work with. And it's a lot easier, I think, to gain trust, know, like, and trust when you're in those clubs and different committees. Distressed homeowners. I don't know if that'll end up being a thing with everything that we've been through this year, but if you like that, then that's always a niche as well. You have new construction, the relocation, absentee owners, your radios, ads, seminars, webinars. That seems to be big this year, especially whether you want to give them. And now it's easier than ever because you can use Zoom or different groups. And that is what I was never really a part of my business plan. But when COVID hit, that is something that I could do. It's like, what can I do to add that's going to replace some of this stuff, like community events? And I decided to do the podcasting, live videos, and all of that. That's what I can add. I can add value, know, like, and trust, and use different platforms to do that. So, I mean, the one great thing about real estate is it is always changing. But think of 10 things on this list that you want to add? I know video has been pretty big in the past, but for sure this year. So maybe you want to start doing video messages. And it's all about just what are the 10 things on here that you would like to start incorporating into your business. And then as we do that, move forward, we're going to start setting up that roadmap. So does everyone have an idea or have any questions on some of these, or what are you doing that's well, or what do you want to add? Anything? Anybody?
What's absentee owners?
Absentee owners are, I guess in Florida, that's really big because you have second homeowners, like they have a second home. And a lot of times when the market's so crazy, you know, maybe they used it for rental purposes. And now because the market's hot, they may want to sell. So absentee homeowners is something that is especially big in Florida. I'm not so sure about how Atlanta is, but we have a lot of, you know, people that have condos and their second homes and, you know, investment properties, they're renting it out. And when the market was hard, they couldn't sell it because they would lose money. So they rented it for a few years. So for us, the absentee homeowner going towards the people who, you know, have investment properties, they're looking to sell. They're going to make bank with the hot property or hot market right now.
I was going to add something that you said about FSBOs. I was on a webinar yesterday about this new NAR ruling about being transparent with buyer side commissions. Mm-hmm. And one of the statements that somebody came up with was, you know, in the past, we were kind of like Vanna White, where we showed houses and it was more about finding the house. And that obviously has changed tremendously over the years with technology. It's no longer about finding the house. It's about getting the house. It's about from the time you find the house to the time you actually get the house is where our value really comes in. And I would say the same would hold true on the FSBO side. It's really not about finding the buyer. It's about getting to closing. I mean, anybody can find a buyer these days if they stick a sign in the yard, but actually getting that contract to closing is where our value comes in. And we have been talking about really articulating our value for many years, long before, you know, this change that's coming about next year. But we can't, it's not enough. It's not enough to just have a pulse and a real estate license. You have got to be able to really provide value and articulate that value. And I really liked that phrase, that it's not about finding the house, it's about getting the house and what it takes to get there.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand what agents do. I think they just think you put a sign in the yard, it goes on the internet, and then you're done. And that's completely not. There was actually, and I'll have to share it in my email, someone had posted like what agents do, and it was an infographic, and it was like ridiculous, the amount of stuff. So I'm like, okay, I need to kind of recreate that. But it was a really great infographic, super long, and like it was so big you could hardly read it, you know, if you try to put it on a screen. So I think, you know, and sometimes, you know, you do this every single day, you almost forget what exactly you do. And real estate is so gray. Like you actually learn with every transaction. So remember your first transaction you ever did. I mean, you learn as you go. I mean, the book is, you know, black and white, but real estate is gray. Every transaction is different. And a lot of times when you've been doing this for long, you almost forget all these lessons that you have learned with every single transaction. So it's really hard, I think, for agents to understand their value and what they actually do, because they do it every day. And, you know, like if something's starting to do this in a transaction, you quickly come around to, you know, save that and, you know, do whatever you do. And a lot of times I think we forget about all that. Right?
We do. And we forget to articulate it. And when I sold real estate, I went after FSBOs. That was one of the ways that I built my business. And we had a page about all the things that could go wrong. And it was actually 3 pages of all the things that could go wrong with each kind of phase of the transaction. And it wasn't meant to scare people. It was meant to articulate our value. And then something that came out of the webinar yesterday was a lot of us work from checklists. And I mean, I know at our office, just on our backside, we have probably 70 or 80 checklists that we use in our back office for processing. And the recommendation was that you you have a graphic where you show the checklist, the pre-listing checklist, the marketing checklist, the, you know, contract to close checklist, and the post-closing checklist. Not to go over each with painstaking detail, but to just show what we do, you know?
That it's not about putting a sign in the yard, getting on the internet, and you're good to go.
Right.
If only it was that easy.
Right.
So knowing what we know now, going from, you know, week 1, 2, and 3, what do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? What do you want to start doing? And what do you want to stop doing? So that this is kind of like in your habits, in your business, life, personal, financial. It's just a little bit of something to start thinking about, you know, more of. And me, it was definitely videos, training, just giving back and kind of opening that up was a lot of that, and more time with my family, because that's always been a struggle for me, because like my job is my hobby, and I would probably do it for free if my husband let me. So I always struggle with, you know, working too much. I mean, from when my kids were little, when I would go to on vacation, or usually it was traveling for business like R4, whenever we would call, they would be sitting at my desk in my office, because that's where they think of me the most. And that's kind of sad, you know, but that's where my struggle is. Everybody has their struggle and what they, you know, want to add more of, less of, and start doing, stop doing. So it's just kind of something to think about. And then I am curious what your day looks like. Do you kind of have a structure to your day? Do you wake up? Do you have like a morning routine? Do you get to the office at the same time? Are you doing, you know, the calls or prospecting, setting up your appointments? Is any of that consistent, like time blocking or anything like that? I call it my power hour. I mean, I'm usually at my desk at 6. I get more done from 6 to 9 than I do the entire rest of the day. And that's because everybody's kind of still sleeping, and I'm not, you know, there's zero like interruptions. I can really get done what I need to get done. I mean, I don't know if that looks the same for you guys. There's different things you can do, pulling up the hot sheets, what's new in the neighborhood, you know, just kind of responding to emails. I'll respond to emails in the middle of the night. Luckily with Gmail, I can actually schedule that response to go out at a certain time. So I may be replying at 2 a.m, but I schedule it to go out at 9, just because I don't really want to start a conversation at 2 a.m. if they're actually up. So there's just different techniques. And I'm just curious, does anyone have any sort of structure to their day, or they just wake up and let it take them with you? Do you time block or anything like that? Don't everyone speak at once. I can at least see you.
I put mine on mute because the gal that cuts the dog's nails is here. And so they're like barking, and, you know, I just didn't want y'all to, you know my secret. You know, I try really hard to get up at the same time and get my coffee, walk my dog, get my coffee, check all my messages, come to my desk. And like, I write things down in my book, and I put a big O next to whatever my task is, so that I can mark it off. So I go through the last couple pages, you know, until I find, or go through my book till I find something that's not checked off. And then I do that. So I try really hard to do that between, you know, 8 and 9. I do the FMLS every day. First thing in the morning, just after lunch, and then like at dinner. If I'm sitting there just watching TV, sometimes I'll look, and then my husband goes, "Put that down. I thought you quit working." So I would like my mornings, I would like my day to be more consistent. And that's another reason for doing this class. And working on a better routine. So
organization, time management, that is something that is so hard. And it was probably when I did get my real estate license, that was the hardest part for me because I am very structured, you know, like having a kid's birthday party, like everyone arrives at 1, but at 1:15 we're doing this, 1:30 we're doing this. And that's, I thrive on that. And real estate is super hard to do that because I can't cancel everything. I really like to be a day ahead. And that's just how I work best. And real estate, you can't really do that. But a lot of times we just tell an agent, get up an hour earlier. And that gives you that extra hour of usually quietness, especially if you have kids. And even my dogs are lazy because my kids are up all hours of the night. So they're not ready to wake up when I am. So I have like nice and peace and quiet. And it's a matter of finding that time in your household and your day where you can add that extra hour of just kind of doing what you need to do for business and setting up your day right and stuff like that. So it's just something to think about. The 5542, which we'll go into, that's like a Tom Ferry thing. That's a lot of great ideas. So I'll send that separately in our recap email, but I'll show it to you on here as well.
I time block. I was going to say I time block. I have to, because I will always find a fire to put out or something that I prefer to do over the things that I really have to do to be successful. And I think that's the biggest mistake agents make, is they don't time block for prospecting, because at the end of the day, if you had a closing at 3 o'clock, you would make yourself get to that closing no matter what fire came up. But if you have prospecting that you have in your mind that you're going to do at 3 o'clock, you will find distractions. And I put it on my calendar. I don't block every hour of every day, but I block the big things. I have to.
No, I think agents who do find that time blocking, I think they just find everything just kind of sets up better for the day and doing what they need to do, even if they don't want to do something. But I just think they see a huge improvement because they're not just kind of flying by the seat of their pants and doing different things.
Agreed.
This is just kind of like a weekly thing. And it's just maybe you set up, you know, this is kind of like a time blocking, and not every hour is going to be filled out of this, but the important thing. So for me, that 6 to 8, almost 7 days a week is really just my business. The weekends is usually me personally. And then the rest of it's just what I need to do. That's my 6 to 8 is truly my power hour, strictly on what I need to be doing. And most of it's all computer related, so it's fine. And the rest usually is kind of scheduled throughout the day, but I block it off on my calendar. Luckily, I can use something like Calendly, so people schedule their appointments with me. It's whatever kind of works best, but definitely schedule that family time, you know, the spouse time, the time to just kind of, you know, recharge yourself. I mean, that's crucial too, is, you know, we recharge our phone, but we're not charging ourselves. And sometimes you just need that getaway time just for you, whether it be, you know, hair and nails, just something simple to just decompress and make it about yourself. So make sure that you're adding those in that time blocking. So this is just kind of like a little way for you to remind yourself on time blocking, those things that are important. This is the 5542, which kind of came from Tom Ferry. It's always been 555, but it kind of changed. And I guess that's social and videos, adding that in. So something, if you want to be prospecting daily, this is a great sheet. A lot, like we'll print out a bunch, put it in a little binder. They'll put the date on the top. And it's, you know, start with the 5 calls text with past clients or your center of influence, you know, write little notes. And, you know, you can use Booge if you don't have another CRM program to be able to do this. The great thing I like about Booge is, yes, you can write your notes, but then you immediately can follow up and enter a task that'll show up on your calendar. You get alerts for it, so you'll know what the notes were and what you need to be doing next. And if you don't already have a CRM program, Booge is free and you can do all of this. Next one's new conversations with new contacts. This is the prospecting. And then you have your 4 lead follow-up conversations. These may be the leads that you're getting from your website or Megaphone or just in general, anything. Make sure that you are following up and having those conversations with people. And then the 2 social posts. And of course, we always try to encourage doing videos. And videos does not have to be with you inside of them. It could be you're showing property in one of the areas you farm. You take a nice video of the entrance or an amenity that they have, or maybe something that not every local is going to know about. Doing video is great, especially those, because they're kind of evergreen, meaning you can repurpose that. You could add text on top, you could add yourself. There's just different ways that you can repurpose any of those kind of videos. So definitely, this is something that I would advise to do 5 days a week. And this is really going to help step up your game. And it's all about the prospecting, follow up, and having those conversations. And this one is probably one of my favorites as far as actually writing down. This is coming from what are those 10 things that you want to do? And now we're kind of breaking this down into what kind of strategy is it? Is it prospecting? Is it networking? Is it advertising? Is it, the marketing as far as like social or anything like that? So taking from what those 10 things are that you're going to do consistently, what areas do they fall in? And putting that down. What do you want to actually do? How often are you going to be doing that? So it's just a way to kind of break it down into what category, what kind of strategy is it? I am super passive with anything I do. I'm just horrible at advertising myself or anything like that. This kind of opened my eyes when I realized I was very passive because I had nothing that was, kind of go get them. Most of it was like networking. I did not do anything that was really prospecting. It was networking and advertising, I think. So just a different way to kind of organize the different kind of marketing. And breaking it down. This is and was, especially for this year, crucial. The biggest thing we find is, yes, you have those 10 things you want to do consistently, or you have that wish list. Oh, I want to do videos. I want to do social. I want to do Instagram. We have all these things that we always want to do, especially coming back from any convention or anything like that. There's always, that shiny new object. This is how I break it down. You want it to be in bite-sized bits to make it easy to implement. So you can't say, oh, I'm going to do Facebook, Instagram, Google pay-per-clicks. I'm going to do all this stuff and expect January, you're going to start doing it all. It won't happen. So for me, what I do is I break it down and I break it down into months. And I usually will do it in Google Drive or something like that, but I have to write it down on paper. There's something about crossing it off that just makes me feel accomplished. I just like that crossing it off. This year came about, the first thing I did when everything was closed, this is the sheet I went to. So for my goals, it may be improve, maybe I have, I'm going to build a page on our website for different communities, and I'm only going to do one a month. So I'll write down the community or city that of the web page that I'm going to build on our website. So I don't want to overwhelm myself and say, oh, I need all of these different communities built on my website. Obviously, I'm not going to get it all done. So taking it into bite sites, I just put in one community a month. Then I have videos. So I want to have videos that I want to have done. I wrote, 12 different videos that I'm going to do every single month. So when March came and everything closed down, my first thought is I go straight to this page. What can I do right now? And a lot of that was the video, going to the different areas to be able to video that evergreen content. You just take little 15-second, 30-second clips over, for me in Florida, it was like the beach, or you have malls, you have so many different things as a local in your area. So that was our thing. Go drive by and take all these different videos that maybe you had on the sheet for the entire year. Maybe now is when you can start getting ahead of the game, building those pages about the communities on your website, and then having those videos and photos that you're taking to build on top of that. So just think, breaking down all of these different elements that you want to add to your business, putting it into a monthly, because that's going to make it more bite-sized. It's easier to actually accomplish if you break it down and not try to do everything at one time. So for me, this sheet right here was my saving grace. I didn't have to go through every month and figure out what I wanted to do, I was able to get ahead of the game. What can I be doing right now since I'm not out, for you, you're not out showing property, everything's kind of on close down. But what can I be doing that may be on, summer through fall and, through December? What are the things you can be working on? Cross those off. So at least you're still working towards your goals. We're just working at it in a different way. So definitely this is, besides that 5542, this sheet right here is really how I break things down into bite-sized bits to simplify everything. Does that make sense to do that? Because I know everybody gets so overwhelmed when they're trying to do so many different things. So
yes.
Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to chime in so you had a voice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So definitely take it into bite-sized bits. This was a game changer for me. Make sure that you set that up. That's really going to help you with your time management. Maybe it's something that you are, you're time blocking 5 days a week to do something that's on this list. I mean, it could be, scheduling your social post for January or February. I mean, for me, that's it. The video, education, just, and the website. I mean, but that's all on, what I do. It's going to be a little different for you, but I mean, think about that, because your January could be your postcards to your farming. Maybe you do that every quarter. So put that on here on those dates. I mean, just think of everything that you want to do as far as your marketing or those pillars to your business and write it down, because it is gratifying just crossing that off once you get to there.
And it doesn't look as, like when you think of the whole year, it gets really overwhelming. But if you look at it like this, I think it is easier.
And even if I only put 3 things in each box. That's why the boxes aren't ginormous. 3 things I want to add into my business or do, and then I can cross it off. It's just 3 simple things that I want to add in. A lot of it for the agents is the videos and website improvements by building communities or, pages and build up on that. Or maybe you want to think of an online strategy for your social. So maybe it's, schedule 3 different social posts, for each different month. When you break it down into bite-sized bits, I think it's easier to accomplish. And there's just a gratifying feeling when you can cross that off, but you're still working towards your business goal. So this was a game changer for me, especially this year when everything stopped, because I immediately went to this page. What can I be doing that, maybe my March and April look completely different, but I was able to go into later months and just, get some of the website or videos done, because I couldn't do other things like community events or something like that. So it's just breaking it down bite-sized bits. I think when we do that, it's easier to accomplish those goals. And then this one's a little crazy for me, but it's kind of like an example schedule of time blocking. Whether it be, you wake up at the same hour, you work out, do your shower, dress, breakfast. And then on each day, am I prospecting? Am I doing something for my business? This is actually this is a coach's schedule calendar. And looks crazy to me. Too many colors, so busy. But it's all about that time blocking and just kind of putting it on your calendar, because what gets scheduled gets done. So time blocking, and it's not all for business. I mean, you'll see here, there's, time for grocery shopping. There's time for family game night, or, maybe it's date night. So it's just something to be a little consistent. And this is kind of like, if you were a crazy time blocker, this may, kind of work for you. But even if you put it on your calendar for different ways that you want to prospect, 3 days a week, and you kind of put that on your calendar, it's a visual. And then as you do that multiple weeks, it almost becomes a habit, and then it becomes your routine. So it's just a matter of, somebody wants to see property at 9, but you've been setting up, that's when you're doing your prospecting. Maybe you set that up for 11 or something like that. Now I have crazy dogs. And then that's basically it. So it's all about time blocking, doing all of that, and then making 2021 our best year ever. So I have big dogs. Can you tell? Must be having a delivery.
My daughter's first word was package.
So right now it's crazy. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I have people behind me because I bought a she shed. So to turn into my office because of, for 7 years, I've kind of had my house all to myself. But now between online schooling and everybody works different weird hours and they're like, you're loud, Mom. I'm like, well, this is my space. So I just got me. So that's getting worked on this week. So I'll have my own little 12 by 12 little shed that will be all done and be my own little space. So I won't have to worry about deliveries.
Nice.
And craziness because my little 4-pound cat chases my Great Dane around the house and it sounds like I have horses running around. But I want you guys to do all of this, even if it's in baby steps. But I can't wait to see what happens in 2021 and for everyone to set their goals. And of course, if anyone has any questions about any of this, I mean, my contact information's there. I'm in the group, whatever it is, feel free to reach out, schedule Zoom. I know I'm doing a couple calls and, accountability calls where I kind of give them a little bit of homework and, they're doing videos or, we're just kind of working on the business planning side of things. So feel free to reach out, or get with another agent in your office, have an accountability partner, somebody that knows what your goals are that you can check each other, and just make sure that you do achieve those. And I think, if you just keep all of this to yourself, it's not going to be as good as if you have an accountability partner where you can push each other to kind of achieve these goals and help each other along the way. So if any of these goals are, social, your Booj website, your CRM, anything that has to do with kind of technology and marketing or what maybe you don't know about or you want to use some of that more, let me know. And I'm happy to schedule any of those calls with you as well. And I mean, I did go to school to be a teacher, so I love giving homework, as you could tell from these sessions. So anything that we can do to help, we're here for you. So I can't wait to make 2021 your best year ever.